Scientists in South Africa were the first to raise alarms about Omicron, and virologists in this lab have been leading the way on researching the fast-spreading variant.
The variant has been studied in South Africa longer than has been studied in other places, and this lets us understand it better and enables us to kind of inform the rest of the world.
These researchers are pooling their findings with results from other labs around the world, and a clearer picture of Omicron's characteristics has begun to emerge. They say the strain possibly causes milder symptoms, but is more resistant to vaccines and more infectious.
Early data suggests that Omicron is more transmissible than Delta, with a doubling time of about 2 days.
As the variant poses a challenge for governments everywhere, we visited this lab to understand what scientists have learned about Omicron. Alex Segal and his team of virologists tested the new strain of the virus against the Pfizer shot.
So I'm preparing the cells for infection tomorrow. Okay. So it all starts in here.
Their analysis showed that the variant can partially evade protection from vaccines or prior immunity.
The fact that it's more likely to infect people who are vaccinated, but it's less likely to cause serious illness compared to the other variants is exactly what we see in our work as well.
Their research predicted that for people who have been vaccinated, effectiveness against infection is 35%, compared with 72% for people who have been vaccinated and who have immunity from a prior infection. These findings were roughly in line with another recent real-world study. But it's difficult to draw broad conclusions from South Africa, which, compared with Europe and the US, has a younger population. It also has a relatively low vaccination rate as compared with places like the UK. While there's still limited data, Segal's team has also observed that symptoms from this strain might be less severe. Another group of researchers in South Africa found that even though the number of cases is rising, the risk of infection of hospital admission for infected people is 29% lower compared with the first wave in 2020.
So far, the infections have been mild, mostly mild, here. And there might be several reasons for that. One reason is there's a lot more pre-existing immunity. There are a lot more people who were previously infected with the different variants before Omicron came on the scene, and also a considerable number of people now in South Africa who were vaccinated. That wasn't here before, but there might be other reasons. Perhaps the virus itself is a little bit different. This, we don't know yet.
Even if the variant might be less virulent, the sheer number of cases could still lead to a surge in hospitalizations, as the strain seems to be far more transmissible than others.
For a variant like Omicron, it's kind of a Frankenstein's monster of mutation. It's heavily mutated. What that means is it gains certain abilities. One of these abilities is to escape from an immune response to a previous infection or to vaccination. And the second ability is to transmit better.
That's prompting governments in the US and Europe to accelerate rollouts of booster shots. Early studies have suggested that another Pfizer shot will increase protection against Omicron. But the majority of the world still hasn't been fully vaccinated, and South Africa only begins its rollout of booster shots in January. Global leaders are now weighing the evidence as they decide what policies to implement and how to best protect their populations.
Everybody is, of course, worried, and they want to predict what is going to happen. So it's a very much a globalized effort now. In South Africa, we happen to have a very good research community for infectious disease, and we're able to make a lot of progress because also it started here before elsewhere, and be able to say something to the rest of the world and give some predictions.